Brent and Ryan in the morning.
Good morning, I'm Brent.
And I'm Brian.
And this is Brent and Ryan in the morning. I nearly forgot. I gave you a new name last time.
I've been doing it for about 3 days now.
That's right. So yes, I'm Brent and this is Brian. Welcome. We're at the end of week 9 and we just finished the second gospel that we've read in our reading plan. So we finished with Mark. And man, there was a lot of things going on in Mark here at the end that I think you and I could talk about. I think one of the things you thought was funny, and it was when we jumped to the garden scene. Go ahead and share that.
Yeah, so we get this detailed account that's only in the Gospel of Mark. 4 Gospels, we don't ever see anything, but we see somebody cut off one of the people who came to arrest Jesus' ear. And that created some havoc.
Right.
And
Jesus is like, don't do that.
Yeah, he
It's
puts
bad.
the ear
Don't do
right
that.
back on the head and it attaches. And then they grab some other bystander who slips out of his clothes and runs away naked. Like,
Unnamed.
Unnamed. Who could have known these details? But it's only found in the book of Mark.
You know, we believe that Mark is really transcribing some of the stories that Peter's has told him and kind of putting all this together. And so I think it would have been funny to be there in that moment where Peter is kind of, and Mark, do you remember when we were in the garden? I think you should really put it in there about how you were in your pajamas and, you know, they tried to grab you. You remember what happened? Go ahead, Mark.
And Mark begrudgingly told the story and just forgot to say who.
Yeah, I'll put it in there, but I'm not telling it was me. So that is a really funny story. But, you know, sometimes I think we forget that these little details really do add to the credibility of the story. Why else would you put that detail in there unless it really happened? And so I think that gives credibility to Mark and his telling of the gospel. You know, before you get to the garden and then after when Jesus is arrested, one of the things that stuck out to me was Jesus and how he knew how to respond to the people when they came at him with various questions. So there was the story where they're asking him a question and Jesus says, well, then you answer me this: whose authority did John baptize under? And of course the religious leaders are like, I don't know, if we say this, we'll be, you know, we can't answer this either way. And they're like, we don't know. And Jesus at this point says, well then, I'm not going to answer your question either.
Right.
But then you move to the scene where he's been arrested, and it's fascinating because they bring in all these people to bear false witness and lie and try to make up a story about what Jesus has done. But then they ask him that question.
They finally ask him the one question, because nothing has stuck at this point.
No, not at all.
And they say, are you the Christ?
Are you the Messiah? And he says, I am. And in that moment, he's referencing back to the Old Testament where God has told Moses that his name is I am. Yeah. And that was all they needed.
Right. And I mean, there's a lot of ways Jesus could have answered this. I was telling Brent, if it was me, I'd have said, yup. Some people would say, yes, it's me.
That's right.
And Jesus, it's very specific for him to say, I am, because everybody knew that those two simple words we take for granted.
Tear the robes. Huge. You have just been blasphemous of God's name. And so it really goes to show, though, that there was a timing that Jesus was using, that the rules that he was playing by. Earlier, it wasn't time. Later, it was.
No more secret.
No more secret. And he answers the question. The messianic secret is now exposed.
That's right.
But you know, Ryan, one of the interesting things about the book of Mark that we really don't have in any of the other Gospels is the ending.
Yeah.
Because we get to the end of Mark, and even the immersed reading kind of says, well, there's a shorter ending and there's a longer ending. What are we supposed to do with that?
Yeah, because the short ending is very abrupt. It leaves you hanging. Jesus, we think, is resurrected, but we have no encounter with him yet.
Yeah.
We simply know that the tomb is empty and the women are afraid.
Yeah.
And then we have this longer ending, which some people stake a lot of stuff on it.
A little bit crazy.
In fact, if you're interested, Brent and I will be traveling to Virginia to handle some snakes later this month.
I am not going on that trip. He is all by himself. I will not be there. I don't do snakes.
When you hear like the crazy snake handlers, they're pulling their scripture straight out of this ending version, which most scholars all widely agree was not part of the original version of the gospel.
And it leads to a very important principle of interpreting the Bible, which is you really don't cherry pick one verse and say, I'm building an entire doctrine on this. When you look at Jesus as Messiah and the Son of God and salvation and even the Trinity, even though the Bible really never uses the word Trinity, those doctrines are built on multiple places that it's referenced. To pick one of these verses and say, you know what, this Sunday, come on to Ashworth. We're going to have some snakes. It's going to be awesome. That's a little crazy.
Yeah, and so this Sunday, Snake Week!
Oh, yeah, Beach Week 1 week, Snake Week the next. Come on.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Yes, as long as I'm here, there will be no snakes. As I said, don't do snakes. So, but there it is. That's the end of Mark. So we've read through 2 Gospels and Paul's writings. And next week, we're going to jump into Peter's writings, a couple of Peter's letters that he's written, and Jude and some other things. And then we're going to jump back into the Gospels again with Matthew. So, I mean, there's a lot coming at us. So we're through with 9 weeks. We're going to start in week 10 next week. But something important we have to do. That's right.
Give away a mug.
We do need to give away a mug. And I have to tell you that I was at an event this last week, and there were a couple of people that were excitedly going through and liking the videos. And so I thought, what better way to reward such behavior than to give away one of our great mugs?
So we've randomly selected somebody who has liked a slew of our videos in the last week. And so the winner of this Brent and Ryan in the Morning mug should say Brent and Brian.
Yeah,
sorry.
We can fix that later.
Okay.
This goes to Garrett Pavey. Congratulations, Garrett. Woo! See us on Sunday, and we'll give you your beautiful mug, and you can make sure you can use that all around Drake campus. And when people ask you, what is that about, you can say, well, just check it out at brentandryan.com. So, hey, this has been fun. This is a great way to end the week. I hope that you're still with us. Don't forget, join us on Sunday morning. It's going to be a great week. We're still in the You Are series, and this week we're going to talk about what it means to be You Are blessed. And I think it could be a challenge in what many of us think it actually means from what it actually means when we go to the Scriptures. So this has been another great episode of Brent and Ryan in the Morning. We'll see you later.